What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to take a look at Star Wars Outlaws. I figured this was probably a good game to make a dedicated video on, with all of these previews going on, right? All this stuff happening. I'm sure I'll pick other games like this, by the way, but for Star Wars Outlaws, there were a lot of people that were able to play it, and plus, Ubisoft is going all in, right? At the Ubisoft Forward, I think they spent the first, I was trying to count it, 20 minutes through multiple trailers, multiple gameplay excursions, showing us Star Wars Outlaws. I remember telling my wife, like, they want this to sell. In fact, they might need this game to sell because they were going so hard on it. But we got all of that, which I'll briefly talk about in this video. But then we also got a lot of opinions and impressions because I guess turns out maybe a week before the show, a bunch of people in the press were able to play the game. And what they were able to play was basically 3 different missions, 3 slightly, even in terms of like mechanics or how it's set up, right? 3 different in that sense as well, totaling around an hour. But it was pretty limited. It was pretty kind of linear, I guess, in the sense that they weren't able to like break out. They weren't able to explore. They weren't able to experience the open world part of this Star Wars game, right? It was more about the mission structure and the character and choices you have to make and gunplay and sneaking mechanics like that is what people were able to check out. And I got to be honest. Well, actually, I'll say this. First, I saw the creative director responding to the negative reception. I was like, negative reception? I've actually seen a lot of positive ones, and I have. I want to make that known. I've seen a lot of positive articles on this, but I saw that, and I was like, wait, what? So I Googled it, and I just started scrolling, and I started reading as many of these previews as I could, and to be honest with you, it feels 50-50. For every article you get saying, hey, this is the Uncharted Star Wars game we never got, there's another article that says, this feels like Golden Abyss. This feels like the PS Vita, which, okay, let me say something. Golden Abyss is a great game. I have the Vita, and I love the Vita to death. But, when you're comparing it to an Uncharted game, I don't know if you want to compare it to that one of the 5 or 6 that there are. So that is important, I would say, to throw out, right? Because, look, ultimately, these people are going to have different opinions. But for every good one saying, hey, this is the Amy Hennig Star Wars game, you get somebody that says, no, this is actually, the mechanics are outdated. I did see a good amount of that talking about, Ubisoft likes to recycle parts of their games so things kind of feel similar, right? There might be some Far Cry influence or Assassin's Creed or whatever, and sometimes they do it well, and sometimes you can kind of feel that is recycled, and I saw somebody kind of pointing that out. So I just wanted to throw, I guess other people's opinions at you first, saying, yeah, the game seems very 50-50. For everything positive, there seems to be something up, and I don't mean like slightly negative. There's previews just kind of trashing it, and then there's previews loving it, right? So you kind of have both ends. Again, as I mentioned, the creative director, the defense that I saw from him was that he said basically the whole they didn't get to experience the open world part of this open world game, that might have been a big problem with what they played. So he didn't necessarily defend like the actual critiques of like the mission design, or I saw people talking about outdated gunplay or again recycled kind of elements. He didn't necessarily address that, but he did address that, hey, there's more to do in this world than these 3 missions and even mechanics that you're not going to experience. So to just base it off of the missions wouldn't really be fair. And honestly, I read about 6 negative previews. I didn't see anything like massively unfair. I saw a lot of people taking, jabs at it, but saying ultimately, wait till the game comes out. I guess that's kind of where I come into things. Like, I don't think I hate it as much as, I've seen some of the negative previews, but I'm in a weird spot in my mind thinking about this game because I got to be real. I don't think I've ever thought that this game looked like outrageously amazing, okay? And even in the Ubisoft Forward, they showed all the gameplay. I'm watching it and thinking, this is solid. Like, it's always looked solid. It's always looked like it has potential to do something. We've heard good things about it. We've heard about even like the quest marker stuff, right? Like, that's not going to be the Ubisoft thing where there's 1,000 of them on screen. It's going to be more exploration based. We've heard things like that. We've seen things here and there that kind of stand out, but nothing that moves the needle. And this is just my own personal opinion, right? Nothing that moves the needle too much. So it's not that I'm worried, but I've always been in a situation or a spot where it's like, Game looks solid. I want to check it out, but I'm not expecting the world from it. To be honest with you, I'm not really expecting the world from Assassin's Creed either. I guess maybe Assassin's Creed I'm a little bit more excited for, but I don't know, maybe like Star Wars can have a bigger pop if they actually, pull it off. But that's kind of where I'm at. Nothing has moved too much. Seeing those negative previews is a little alarming, but you know what? Again, it's people's impressions of it. It's their own opinion, and I've seen a lot of people saying that it's amazing. So, I mean, I guess it's whoever you want to believe at any given moment. It feels like a game, and I saw this in a lot of the previews, so I guess I'm kind of echoing it, but it was interesting to see it being echoed. It feels like a game where like the things are gonna have to come together, good or bad, right? Like if people decently like the parts they've seen so far, or if they loved it, or if they hated it. It still feels like you don't, and I mean, okay, this might be for like all games, although for a Ubisoft game, for a game like this, I understand like people kind of want to know early or even before, the game comes out, like, is this gonna be a game that works out? It feels like a game that's gonna come right down to the wire. And I don't know if that's unusual, if that's like even weird to say. I mean, you guys can let me know in the comments, but it just feels like a game that like it needs to come out. I mean, like the reviews might actually be somewhat important. I don't take reviews all that seriously on the channel and in my own personal life, but this might feel like a game where you maybe put more emphasis in it, because I just feel like there is a lot of uncertainty, there is a lot of back and forth and ups and downs of people's thoughts. It might be a game that you really can't get a good grasp if it's going to be amazing or garbage or decent. You might not know until those reviews. You might not know until the game comes out and you officially try it out for yourself. You could argue like that's for all games, but I think you look at maybe like a game of the year type game. I think you can see the public reception, or you could see maybe leading up, oh, this game's going to be special. Outlaws might be special, but it also might be generic, and it also might be bad, and also might be good. You just don't know, right? I think it's a little bit more uncertain than most of these high tier or even low tier game, which might tell me that this game is going to be right down the middle. Might be like a decent average game. We'll see though. So that's just what I've seen so far in terms of impressions. Again, I mean, I'm planning on getting it. I'll give you my full-on thoughts, the good and the bad. Hopefully, you guys can trust that I give honest, feedback or honest reviews when I do them on games. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.